Welcome to 144,000 Teachers, their first fruits unto God and to the land. At 144,000 Teachers, we believe in reaching out to the big cities while establishing sustainable ways of living through better living centers in the country. The only sustainable way to grow our own food, practice natural remedies in case of sickness, and develop faith in the creator of the universe away from the hustle and bustle of the large cities. We're continuing with agriculture, the ABC of education and survival. And in this session, we will be looking at Seedbank. Setting up your survival seed bank. Very, very important information. It's relating actually in the Bible to the time of Joseph and at the time where he saved a whole nation because of the wisdom that he received from God himself. Some people avoid reading or watching the news because they do not like what is going on in the world. But avoidance cannot stop what is coming because you cannot control the things that affect the world's food supply. There is an impending sense that a major food crisis is on the way, and the government is trying to prepare right now for that crisis. But if you know anything about how the world is run, then you know that if you are not the one in charge of your family's food supply, you and your loved one could very well end up standing in a ration line or worse, going hungry. Why you need to have a survival seed bank. Far too many people have the mistaken belief that if something bad does happen that interrupts their access to food supplies, the government will have a backup plan to save their family. When millions upon millions of people rely on the same belief that there will be enough to go around, they are going to end up disillusioned. There will not be. The government is not going to be prepared for any major food crisis. Why? Because they simply cannot stockpile enough food to feed millions of people for a long-term situation. You might think that the hope for relief from a food crisis lies at the base of Mount Plateau in the depths of Valbard Global Seed Vault, which houses the world's biggest seed storage. And this is the picture of that seed storage. But the seeds in this vault are not coming to your rescue, and you will not be able to get to those seeds. Take a look in the mirror. You are looking at the person who is your best chance of survival. It is up to you to know what to do and to be prepared for any food emergency situation. That means that you are going to need to know how you can live off the grid. When every method of getting food is suddenly stripped away from you, it cannot be the catalyst that rocks your world. You have to have a way to replenish your food supply long term. Even if you have some canned foods socked away in the event of a food catastrophe, having goods that will last you a few years is not enough. You have to be able to bring food back in. And if there is no way to get food from a grocery store and the government's hands are tied, then what are you going to do? You need to be able to have a survival garden that will take care of you and your family's nutritional needs for many years to come. You start this by having the seeds that you need to raise a survival garden, and you need to have enough of them to plant a few acres worth of food. This means that you need to have the kinds of seeds that have the ability to reproduce themselves. They'll keep on producing for you. And you also want to look for seed that have not been modified or GMO. When you plant seeds from a seed bank, you can guarantee that you will have food year after year, regardless of what is going on in the rest of the world. On the rest of the world, this is what they're not preparing for. This is what we have to prepare for. By using seeds from the foods you grow and replanting those once your crops come in, you will ensure that your food supply will continue to produce. You want to make sure that you look for seeds that offer a lot of produce return as well as ones that are high in nutrition and are long lasting. So, what seed you need to have in your survival seed bank? To sustain life, there are certain seeds that are a must-have. So the seed that you buy for your survival seed bank need to have these seeds in the container. You need a variety of beans. Some of the better variety are bountiful beans, October beans, and the stringless black Valentine beans. Bean can produce a crop in a time frame of 47 to 90 days, depending on the type of bean seed that you choose to plant. Beans are staples that provide you with protein as well as fibers. Beans are also very sturdy crops. It can produce an abundant supply of food. Because of their protein and fiber content, they can give you plenty of energy. Corn seeds are something that you also need in your survival seed bank. Corn is a staple food that can keep your family sustained for long-term food survival. You will want corn that can grow quickly in less than 3 months. For that, look for seeds like Reed's Yellow Dent Corn or Storwell's Evergreen Corn. These usually grow in twin years with an average length of about 8 to 10 inches, so they are very earthy. Cabbage seeds, like the Copenhagen market ones, need to be in your seed bank. These heads usually grow to be a decent size and can offer gardeners a little over 3 pounds of cabbage per head. They can reach maturity in just over 2 months. When considering which seeds to get for your seed bank, you want to take a look at how those foods will help you maintain good health. You will want to look at whether they offer anti-inflammatory properties and other benefits. If you choose beet seeds like Detroit dark red beets, these are a food loaded with anti-inflammatory assistance for you. Plus, they promote some internal organ benefits too. The seed can reach maturity in about 2 months. Remember, when your mom told you to eat your greens because they're good for you, she was right, especially when it comes to spinach grown Bloomsdale spinach seed. These will grow into tasty plants that are packed with nutrients, including the A and K vitamins. Plus, they are rich in vitamins C and folate. These seeds produce a fast crop, and you can usually have viable plants in about 6 weeks. Also, for green, you will want to get loose leaf lettuce such as oak leaf or red salad bowl. Both of these seeds can reach maturity in less than 2 months. Other greens you will want to include in your diets are green arrow peas. These can be harvested in about 2 months and produce an abundant crop. Cucumber, like bushy cucumbers, are also a great addition to your survival seed bank. These can be ready for harvest in about 6 weeks. Carrots are also part of a healthy diet. Seed that produce scarlet Nantes carrots can be ready to eat in a little over 2 months. This kind can usually produce carrots of about 7 inches in length. Tomatoes can be eaten fresh, canned, or juiced, and ones that comes from seeds like brandywine tomato. Not only will you get plenty of antioxidants, but these are loaded with vitamins as well. Squash and eggplant also add much needed vitamins to your diet. Look for ones like Waltham butternut squash and Rosa bianca eggplant. Do not forget to bank plenty of fruit seeds as well, like cantaloupes and melons and other varieties. So these are your seed bank. So do not forget this. You have to bank all this in order to have a real bank of seed. You are going to want to make sure that you have a wide selection of good choices to grow, not just for the vitamin and mineral content, but for the taste and preference of each family member. If you are wondering where you can get the seeds, you can find them online at specialty companies or online shop. You can find great savings by buying the seeds in bulk as well. Now, how to store your survival seed bank. You need your survival seeds in order to start the garden that will be keeping you and your family sustained for however long it takes. Right now, with food still being plentiful and most people able to get whatever they need from the grocery store, seeds are not considered all that valuable. But when a crisis hits and getting food becomes a free-for-all frenzy, the seeds that are going to have a high value. Think of these as your currency and amass as many of them as you possibly can. Because once the crisis is here, it's too late and there will be a run on survival seeds. When you have these in your possession, you do not want to go around talking about the fact that you have them. Keep your survival seed bank hidden away, out of sight, from prying eyes, in order to keep the seeds from getting stolen. Most survival seeds are shipped to you in packaging that makes them able to be kept viable in storage for a long time. Some of these are stored in such a way that you can even bury them to keep them safe. Seeds need to be protected from bacteria, fungi, pests, fluctuating temperature, and moisture. The most important issue that you need to know about storing seeds is that moisture is not your friend. If moisture seeps into your seed storage, it can ruin it. And moisture is not the only culprit that can harm your seeds. If you keep the seeds stored in an area where the temperature is too high, that can cause some damage to the seeds as well, meaning if it's too hot in that area. You want to make sure that the moisture percentage is kept as low as possible, and if you can get it to less than 4%, that's considered to be a safe moisture percentage for the seed. The storage temperature needs to be kept around 40 degrees. By taking care with how you store the seeds, you can ensure their longevity. Remember, this is Fahrenheit, it is not Celsius. You also want to make sure that you do not keep your seeds anywhere in the sun. The heat from the sun can change the storage temperature, rising it above what's healthy for the seeds. If moisture and heat combined get to the seed, then it kills the seed's ability to grow plants. When you get the seeds, if they're not in containers that are said to be moisture proof, then you need to put them in ones that are. When you harvest the crops that you grow from your original survival seeds, you will want to save those seeds as well. This is an important step in banking seeds because you do not know if you will have access to any more once your original supply has been planted. You will want to air dry the seeds from the crops you harvest and then securely store them in waterproof containers in a cool, dark place until it's time for you to use them. When and how to use your survival seed bank? As you know, timing is everything. That includes knowing when to use your survival seed bank. You do not want to rush and use the seeds too early, but you do not want to wait so long that you miss out on the right time. You need also to be aware of which climate zone you live in because you cannot just plant seeds and expect them to grow if the season that you are currently in would only end up derailing your plans. All of the seeds should be planted according to the hardiness zone of your state or country. What this means is that your area will have a certain level of temperatures that make growing a garden with your survival seed a viable option. And also remember, we have a teaching regarding the moon cycles, and that is also very important to know when to plant and sow as you follow this particular direction. Planting too soon or too late could not only diminish your crop yield, but you could end up not getting any produce at all. And you don't want that kind of a waste. Plus, counting on having a food supply and ending up not getting it could be a major stressor for you. Plant your garden during your climate zone using your survival seeds when you begin to notice that a food crisis is imminent. And make sure you plant it before the time is at hand to need it. You can feasibly plant with your survival seeds and keep the garden producing for years. Remember to always aim for a garden that is as carefree as you can make it. You will want to use your survival seed to plant a garden that will sustain you and your family with as little fuss as possible. And we will be giving instruction on that, how to prepare your garden. And as well, we will be telling you about to follow the moon and the calendar, the biblical calendar. And this way, you will not want to be using any physical labor or any other means, such as having to bring in water and set up a water system. You also want to make sure that you plant your seeds in a way that will not draw attention to whatever it is that you have growing. If others see it, your garden could be a target. This means that you can forget about the kind of garden that you see that have perfectly uniform rows. Instead, plant a garden using your bank survival seeds and let nature help you grow that garden. Nature is perfectly capable of maintaining crop growth with a minimal amount of effort from you. Lay out the garden so that you are using the ground wisely. This means that you will want to plant seeds where the crops can grow together in companionship. You also want to plant your seed according to the height and sun ratio. That means that you need to plant out your garden in a way so that each plant has access to the sun as well as to the right amount of moisture. There are some seeds that offer natural pesticide control. For example, marigold and lavender are both natural pest repellents. Put the taller plants around in a perimeter to help shade crops that need less sun than other plants. There's also regarding this fact of plants that could protect other plants, rhubarb. Basic rhubarb around your garden will protect from weeds. And if you know about rhubarbs, they can also be eaten. You can make jam with them, and you can also eat them raw. But rhubarb is an excellent protector against all the weeds that you do not want to have to deal with. You just surround it just like an edge around your garden, and you will see how you will have a garden free of weeds. Usually this means also that you plant your bush type crops. If you use crops that can benefit your pollination purposes, this can help your crops grow. Plants that are used for pollination purposes are seeds that produce fruit, like blueberries, for example. If you are someone who does not really have any experience with growing food, then you are going to want to know how to do it before the time arrives, that you simply must have the knowledge, or else it puts your survival at risk. Remember, in an emergency situation, you may not be able to log onto the internet to find the answers you need. The best way to learn how to have a successful garden using survival seeds is by going ahead and getting some seeds and planting a garden. This way, you already know what to watch for, what does not work, and what does work in preparation for the time that you do need to have the food supply ready. You can also plant other vegetation to help you hide your crops. So again, this is really an excellent book in preparation, simple, and giving enough instruction that when the time comes, but like it says here, do not wait until the last minute to make a garden. If you have never made a garden before, it would be wise to start planting and practicing on how to care for your garden. And again, as they say as well, try to find as many instructions as possible on how to have a garden that will produce for you, and a variety of seeds, and also a variety, especially as they mentioned regarding the beans, and also the nutrients that you need to be alive and well is very important to know. And this, we will be preparing a class especially for this, on the nutrients of what you need to have in your garden in order to be able to not only survive but live well and healthy. So we hope and pray that this is a beautiful little booklet that can give you a basic setting up your survival seed bank project, and be practical too. You do not want to have millions of seeds and maybe not even buying produce or that will produce some legume or fruits or vegetable that you do not want to eat. So you want to be very, very careful about what you're buying, and also be able to make it an investment rather than just an expense. And follow also the instruction to protect those seeds against moisture and against heat. And then we are sure that you will obtain excellent results, and you will be able then to see the validity of preparation is always the best. It's always what we are to do. So may the Lord bless you and continue to guide you and continue to instruct you as the Holy Spirit is prepared to do. If we are willing and obedient, we shall eat the good of the land. But if we disobey, you will give us a sword. We need to obey by the grace of God.